Hello, and welcome to St Mirren Shiny.
Right, so today I think we're going to talk about a few current events in the old Premier League. Start off, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, should he get the job?
He's probably going to, isn't he?
I think he might. You'd sort of argue that...
Will he might, should he?
I don't think he should. But if he wins, if he gets top four, which I think he might do, and they win a trophy, which is also quite possible, then it's hard not to give it him, isn't it? But I still think long term it's a risk and it's not the right decision.
All right, anybody's a risk, surely.
Some are less of a risk than others.
Oh.
I'd be more of a risk than...
He's a good fit. He's a good fit at the moment for them, and he's done a really good job.
He's taken the pressure off, hasn't he?
It's massively.
It's made it fun again, made Man United fun again, made them good to watch.
It just feels like it might be Roberto Di Matteo all over again. Did brilliant when he was kind of the interim manager, the caretaker, and then as soon as he got the full-time job, he was fired within like 3 months.
It just happens a lot, doesn't it? It happens more so at the bottom of the league, where a team's really struggling. A manager will take over in like January or something like that, get them out of trouble. They're quite clearly probably not the right fit for the job, but the club then feels compelled to give them the job.
Darren Moore at West Brom.
Well, they're doing all right, but like Mark Hughes at Southampton didn't feel right.
West Ham.
Well, West Ham have had it a few times, haven't they? Where it's just like Poyet and like people who have done a good job keeping them up, and then it kind of goes sour. But it happens a lot. It happens less at the top of the league, doesn't it, than it does at the bottom. But I still think this could be another example of that. He's exactly what they need now, but it's a different skill set, isn't it? Interim manager and just bringing the place up to actually having a long-term project and developing young players and everything that it seems like Pochettino is perfect for.
But I mean, you can't, like you say, if he goes on and finishes top four, wins a trophy, you can't not give him the job.
I mean, I still wouldn't. You can not do it. If I was in charge, I would still say thanks. It's a nice payoff.
It's basically shifted your difficult decision when you actually appoint him to a difficult decision in 6 months' time.
Yeah,
that's basically all they've done. Is just shifted it. And to be fair, by now he could have won none of his games, and he could have been out the door by now, and they'd be in the same boat again.
But it's a dream situation for Man United because he's a legend and he's taken over and he's done a good job. So it's a dream for them.
Yeah. And I think it's not like he's just come from nowhere. It's not like they've just given it to someone who's never been a manager before. He has done an okay job in Norway, but I don't exactly know that much about the ins and outs of the Norwegian league and the strengths and how good it was, what he's achieved. But he's obviously, he's got a bit of an house as a manager as well. But in no normal circumstance would Man United be considering someone who's won, the Norwegian league or any kind of Scandinavian league or Eastern European.
Well, they've never had to. That's the thing, though. Well, apart from
they don't have to now, do they? But
who would they have got? When we had this conversation when Mourinho left, who are you going to get in? And they got in somebody. And I think they've made the right choice so far.
Yeah. But we did also say in that video, whoever takes over, they're going to do well. Like we said, even if Pardew takes over, they're going to have a bounce. Now it's gone on a bit longer now. It seems like it's a bit more of a bounce. He is getting the best out of players, but there are a lot of very, very good players already there that are semi-down tools.
That was the important thing, wasn't it? Was getting the best out of Pogba, getting the best out of Martial and
Rashford.
And Rashford and playing attractive attacking football, which is what not only Man United fans, every fan wants to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he was always going to do a pretty good job. Trying to think about what's in the video. I probably said he's going to do shit.
But I suppose his next test, though, if he does get the job, do you trust him with money?
Well, you've got to, haven't you? If he gets
That's the thing, you've got to trust him with everything. What they need is a director of football anyway. The way the club's structured isn't great. They do need
Schmeichel being director of football, aren't they, apparently?
But again, you want someone that's got the
experience
of it.
You wouldn't get Man City having Yaya Toure as director of football, you know what I mean?
No.
Yeah. Well, I suppose it's like, he will... If he gets the job, he'll make signings. What sort of signings he'll make, I don't know. I mean, you're always... The great thing about Man United is it's such a big club, you're going to attract...
You're going to attract players, aren't you? Yeah.
It's not as though they're going to go, it's Man United, but it's Solskjaer, I don't want to sign for him. I think as a package, it's pretty nice, isn't it? It's a good club to sign for.
Yeah.
But I do feel like if he does get the job, it is going to end up by this time next year, whether he's still in the job.
Yeah, it might work. That's the thing. It still might work. I just feel like it's a bigger risk. You've got Pochettino, who has proven he can do it in the Prem. No, it's slightly different because he's going to be working with the higher sort of calibre of player and players.
But he has he's stepped up every step in his career and done a good job. Yeah, I respect that. Yeah.
So he improves pretty much any player he's ever managed.
But he's never really had the budget that Man United are probably given him.
No,
that's where that could be his downfall. Say they give him 100 million or 200 million, and he goes and buys 5 or 6 players, and then none of them do well. He's shot himself in the foot there. Whereas, at least with Tottenham, he's kind of better the devil I know. You know what I mean? I'm saving what I'm got.
He's done a risk for him as well.
He's done a remarkable job for the little amount of money that
it's
spent.
Insane. The fact that they're still in the title race.
Yeah.
They're never not being talked about, and I don't think they will win the title. But they're 3 points behind.
Yeah. Especially with Kane being recently as well.
Not 2 windows in a row without signing anyone. No big clubs do that. It's ridiculous that they're even in with a shout, and the fact that they get talked about as bottlers, and it's just fucking nonsense. I think it's so unfair. The fact they're even getting to those situations in the first place at the top end of the league and regularly getting to cup semi-finals and stuff, it just shows how good he is.
I think the people who call them bottlers are people who are jealous of their success. That they've got on a shoestring budget, really. Because they've gone out of cups in the kind of semi-final stage and they haven't won anything, I think, since the League Cup. And was it probably 10 years ago, 11 years ago?
Was it Ramos?
2007, wasn't it? Or something like that.
Yeah.
That was the last trophy that they won. But, stick with Pochettino. I genuinely think a couple of good signings, whether they make them or not, but a couple of good signings in the summer. The thing is, they're going to lose Eriksen, aren't they? I can't see that not happening. But it's going to happen. He's going to go to Barca.
I don't know how you'd replace Eriksen.
Yeah,
because they're still not at the level where they're going to be able to attract the top player. They've just got to find the new Eriksen again, and it puts so much pressure on your club when you've just got to get your young signings right, and your manager's got to develop them up to a certain level.
The thing is, Eriksen's probably top 3, top 5% of player, isn't he? To find a replacement for him with the money that Levy puts in, it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
not going to unless they find the next young English player or something.
Football clubs aren't daft though. They'll probably be looking at. They'll probably know if we're talking about. They probably know the situation. They'll go right. We'll have a look at this player. We'll have a look at this player. If it happens in this year or next year, we've got players in mind. Whether they work out or not. Eriksen couldn't have worked out. You know what I mean? He could have been awful. You don't know how people are going to adapt, but their scouting network's going to have irons in the fire and know what they're looking for.
The issue they've got is they can't sign anyone now that's going to be instantly as good as Eriksen.
Yes.
What they're going to have to do is get a younger version, and then it's going to probably take him, even if Pochettino works his magic again with another player, it's probably going to take a year or two to get somebody, if they're lucky, to the level of Eriksen.
Yes.
So each time you're kind of playing a deficit, aren't you?
Yes, that's true.
You're losing a player, and it takes you a couple of years to get.
But they're also in
that level. They're just never going to be able to actually.
But they're also in a position now, though, where they can't really sign players who are going to be challenging these spots. They can't buy a world-class striker and put him on the bench.
But why?
They can't. I mean, you'd look at their team, like Ali, Eriksen, whatever. Probably their midfield is probably getting on a bit. Wanyama, or was it Dyer's probably not really pulling up trees. They can probably buy players for those positions.
Yeah, they need a midfield, really.
Yeah, but people up front
as well.
Oh yeah. But people up front and the attacking positions, you probably know who Tottenham are going to pick all the time.
Yeah, but that's just because they've not signed well enough for those positions. Like there's nothing so special about Tottenham that a player can't think, I'm never going to play because of Harry Kane. That should be the same at any top club. Every top club has got really good players, especially up front, but then they still seem to have good alternatives. Like, there's nothing so special about Tottenham. If you
I agree.
I can never get in their team, so their squad can never be good enough.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, because if you look at Man City,
but they haven't got
barely played, did he, for
that's
quite a few months?
But he still went there, knowing damn well that Aguero was there.
Well, exactly, and then he came in and he proved he's a quality player.
But he's 2021. He wants to make.
Tottenham have got that Janssen, who's barely kicked a ball.
Well, that's the thing. I just think they've got their signings wrong up front, as well as they've done as a club. I think it's more to do with how Pochettino has developed the players than the signings always being good. They've like Llorente and, like you said, Janssen haven't exactly been able deputies, have they? They look better when Son plays.
Son's just the best. He's the most underrated player in the Premier League. He's absolutely brilliant.
I really rate him.
I think he's such a good player. I don't think he gets any of the plaudits he should get. people do talk about him, but don't talk about him in the same breath as like Kane or players like that.
Yeah, Tottenham really miss him as well because he's got that extra pace.
Yeah,
they miss that sort of dynamism when he's not playing, don't they?
Yeah. So you'd be saying then Man United should get Pochettino in?
If I was making the decision, even if Solskjaer won the Champions League and got top 4, I'd get Pochettino in, which I know is like crazy because it wouldn't happen because the fans wouldn't let it happen. The fans would all want Solskjaer, and it'd sort of force their hand, wouldn't it? But I still think what you should do is like pat him on the back and say thanks, but there's a guy we want. I'm obviously trying to find out you can get Pochettino first. Just go, you forgot Poch. Oh, he doesn't want to. Ollie.
Pardew in there.
So what would you do?
I kind of agree with James. I think he will get the job. I think based on what he's done over the last 11, 12 games, he probably should get the job. Whether it's a good decision or not, it's open to debate, isn't it? I'm not sure.
Any appointment's open to debate. Though,
it is. I just think with Solskjaer,
when Leicester appointed Ranieri, that was open debate, and they've won the fucking Premier League.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was favourite to get sacked, wasn't he? I think that's just the weirdest thing that's ever happened on planet Earth. So it's hard to use.
Well, you said obviously like Chelsea, like Di Matteo and whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think
everyone could have ummed and ahed about, is he a good appointment? Is he not good? He won the fucking Champions League for him.
He did, yeah. But it's I think.
But he wasn't the right manager.
At the moment, for Solskjaer, every game is like a cup final for him at the moment. You start a season afresh next season and start, with all the fixtures to play, whether he'll do as good a job. I think Mourinho, as you said before, James, it was only going one way. The players are completely down tools. They just didn't want to play for him. And I think any manager, again, what James said, would have come in and done a good job. Yeah, Solskjaer's done a lot better than I thought he was going to do. He won 11 out of 12 or 10 out of 11.
I mean, in fact, he did start off. Everyone said that he started off with an easy run, didn't he? Kind of.
Yeah.
But then he's kept that going.
Carry on.
Yeah. So I think he will get the job. I don't know whether it's just he could end up they could fucking win the Premier League next season. You don't know, do you? I mean, he could take the job and he could sign some absolutely brilliant players, and they will end up winning the.
It's what you touched on then. It's so different though when the season restarts. At the moment, he's taken over Man United at the best possible time you could ever take.
At their lowest ebb.
Yeah, just the dour feeling around the club with Mourinho was just suddenly lifted as soon as he went. Everyone likes Solskjaer anyway. He's got a nice friendly face.
Yeah.
He's a legend of the club. I think it was just everything set up completely perfectly for him, and there's not really that much pressure on him. No. It couldn't get any worse. Whereas if he gets the job full time and they've actually got top 4 and maybe won a cup, there's then going to be pressure on him. They're probably going to spend quite a bit again in the summer. So at the start of next season, it's like, right, you should be challenging for the league now. Let's carry this on.
Yeah.
That is completely different to the situation they're in now, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. That's where all the excuses come out, though, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
I think there's a massive argument against legends of a club taking over a club. It doesn't work. I'd love to see the stats. But I can think of way more legends getting fired from jobs than doing a good job.
Yeah.
There's been so many situations where you have a player who was just, thought of in the best 11 of all time, and they take over and do an absolutely shocking job.
Yeah, well, Shearer looked out of his depth at Newcastle, didn't he, trying to keep them up?
Yeah, I mean, he did that at Love, though, didn't he, as opposed to
and he looked out of
his depth. Sully's there.
Making a cup of tea.
Surely the worst ever is going to be Brian Gunn at Norwich. Remember that? Lost 7-1, didn't it? The first game he fired. Lost to Colchester as well, which is like local rival, and he was obviously the whole pre-season and lost 7-1 at home. In things like that, you just think, are you looking through rose-tinted specs a little bit?
And I think that's what people are doing with Solskjaer at the moment, is he's doing a good job, but I don't think it was a very difficult job.
Do you think fans then are kind of short-sighted where it is feel-good factors come back to Man United?
Yeah. If it feels good, you want it to continue, don't you? It's just human nature. At the moment, it's amazing, so why would you not want that to continue? I just think if you take a step back, like you said, any managerial appointment is a risk, but...
It's a calculated one, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like probabilities, isn't it? So is it more of a risk to take on someone that's done a good job for 2 months than it is for someone who's done a good job for the last 8 years?
At different clubs like Pochettino.
Yeah, that's it. He ticks every box, whereas Solskjaer has just done a good job in a short space of time.
True.
To me, that is more of a risk.
Yeah,
Not that there's ever a guarantee that Pochettino will work out or that whoever would work out, but I just feel like this is quite an important decision for Man United. They've got to
get it right now, haven't they?
With the amount of strong characters in their team, I think they needed a non-strong charactered manager. I think Mourinho was exactly what they didn't want with players like, especially like Pogba,
Lingard,
who are just, they are almost their own boss. And someone like Mourinho, it's never going to mix. It's never going to work. Mourinho, like we said before in the previous video, he'd be best off joining a club with no superstars.
Yeah.
And making them superstars.
Yeah.
He'd probably fall out with them then, but that's what he needs. Solskjaer is perfect for Man United because he's not this superstar manager. He seems to be like an ordinary guy.
Yeah.
He's obviously good, but he's got the best out of these players because they feel loved again, and they feel like, and I think that suits. If they got someone like, Pochettino, I don't think he's massively egotistical, but I can imagine he'd probably fall out with a few. But he does seem quite stroppy at times, doesn't he?
Yeah, but I still think you need a bit of that at the top level as well. I think it's easy to have this big love in at the moment at Man United because it's going well. But what happens when they lose a few games? Will Solskjaer then suddenly snap a bit, and the players will be like, "Hang on, you were really nice.
Yeah, you were nice.
Really nice last week." But that's what I mean. Like,
but that's players' mentality. That's not.
Yeah, but you need a bit of respect as well as a manager. You need a bit of being a disciplinary. I imagine, as well as Guardiola comes across and as funny as Klopp can be and stuff, I imagine they're still bastards at times.
Yeah.
I think players are still going to be in awe of them and a bit scared of them, kind of thing. And I don't know if Solskjaer will have that.
Well, I can kind of see it with Guardiola though. He's been there, done that with everything. If he says jump, you say fucking on a high.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas I can't imagine if Solskjaer said it, you go, "Well, fuck off, mate."
I think it's a respect thing, that though, isn't it? It's like, people talk about Ferguson and the hairdryer treatment, and I imagine it was fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
But the respect he had, he could shout all the kind of the things under the fucking sun and he'd listen. Because that what he's saying, yes, it might be hurtful, but it's the right thing. A manager like Solskjaer would do the hairdryer treatment, and some of the players like your Pogba's might think, well, what have you got to deserve to give me this shit?
And he looked 12.
Yeah, you look like a
child shouting at me.
Yeah.
But I think it is. If that's the argument for me, he probably will get the job. I probably don't think he should, because I think it'll end in tears, but that's my opinion. What do you think?
I think he will get the job.
Do you think it's the right thing?
Yes, unfortunately I do. I think, I'm not even unfortunate about it, I think I'm quite convinced. I think he's taken the weight off everybody at that club. Like I say, he's a legend, the fans are on his side straight away, feel good factor, let him have a go.
Yeah.
How much worse could they do, really?
Yeah.
I see your point, yeah.
I just think if they get this one wrong, and if they do miss out on Pochettino, say if they kind of limp along...
But there's more than two managers in the world.
There is, but... Who else would you go for? That's what I mean. I think, to me, Pochettino is just perfect for them in every way. I think he's exactly what they need. And I'm not sure there's enough other candidates that tick those boxes. That wouldn't be more of a risk.
I get what you're saying, definitely. I get what you're saying. So, okay, well, we'll move it on a little bit then. Sarri at Chelsea. He's looked
That's a car crash, isn't it, at the moment?
He's looked like he's dug his own grave, I think, a little bit.
I think he has a little. By the way, we're making this a day after they lost to Man City very heavily.
Yeah.
So
if we're talking about managers who are available to manage, if they got rid of him, where do they go?
That's the thing. They knew what they were bringing in with Sarri. They know his style. It's going to take time. They didn't have the players there ready to play his style, and I think the days of Chelsea just blowing everyone else out the window, like transfer spending wise, has gone, hasn't it?
Yeah,
they're not going to.
Clubs have caught up with that now, haven't they?
Yeah, so I think
Abramovich seems to be losing interest quite rapidly. I think.
Thing is, as well, is regardless of what happens with Sarri, they're probably going to lose Hazard in the same way as we've spoken about Eriksen, who is. He is absolutely world class, isn't he? I know he does. You lose him a bit in some games, but he is more than likely going to go to Madrid.
Yeah.
Who do you replace him with?
The difference is, though, Eriksen is working perfectly in Pochettino's system, whereas Hazard, I'm not sure, is perfect for the Sarri system. Now, he's such a good player that
you'd like to think
you'd rather keep Hazard than Sarri, though, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
If you had a choice. Sack Sarri or sack.
I don't know yet. I don't know. If you could get 200 million for Hazard,
you're not going to get that much for him.
I don't know how. I don't know. 150 then. You're going to get a lot of money for it.
I'd be surprised.
I'd
be surprised if you get 100.
Have you heard the deal they're talking about of a Hazard swap with Asensio and something like Real Madrid paying 50 million or something like that?
Yeah.
Which I don't think. He's young, isn't he, Asensio? And he seems like he's a really good player.
And I think that's what Chelsea need to do. Is I wouldn't say start again, but there's a lot of dead wood at that club they need to get rid of. Pedro, Willian always looks brilliant.
Drink water.
Yeah. Willian always looks brilliant on highlights.
Yeah.
Never produces. You know what I mean?
And they're just getting on as well. Like, I think Pedro's a good player, but he's into his 30s now. I think Willian's.
You got Jorginho and the problem with the Kante thing as well, which seems to be
that's causing a hell of a lot of trouble. I think if it's causing that much trouble, I think you've got to drop Jorginho at some point.
The thing, this is the argument I think we've had this argument before, or if we haven't, I've definitely thought about it. Managers are coming to clubs and then bring in players from their previous clubs, regardless of them fitting into a system. So, Sarri's come in and he's got a very strict way of the way he wants them to play. And it's not really working at the moment, but he's brought Jorginho in as part, almost like the anchor of the team.
Yeah.
How much time do you give for that situation to happen before? Because he's probably less likely to drop Jorginho because of the situation of bringing him in the first place.
Yeah, he's central to his plans, isn't he?
It makes him look full.
But surely he should have sorted everything out first and then brought him in.
You can't. That's the thing. He's got his system that he wants to play, and Jorginho is key to that. The first thing he wanted to do is get Jorginho. He was like just key to everything that happened at Napoli. Now, we seem to be under the impression now that you just close Jorginho down, put someone on Jorginho, and the whole system collapses. Now, there's no way that they weren't doing that in Italy, that no one thought, oh, actually, Jorginho makes like 100 passes a game, maybe we should put someone on it. They must have been doing that, but his system worked in a way that it was fine. If you completely close him down, it gives Hamsik and Alan, whoever there at the time, like Root, and the whole thing just worked perfectly. Now, there's something wrong at the moment, where it seems like if you nullify Jorginho, then the whole thing collapses. But you've got to give him time, haven't you? You knew, as the Chelsea board bringing in Sarri, they must have done their homework. They knew the system that he wanted to play.
But it's going pretty badly, isn't it, at the moment? And as we know, it's a very results-based
thing,
isn't it?
And the Chelsea aren't afraid of getting rid of managers.
No, they're not. In my opinion, what they need to do is either back their stars, so Hazard and Kante, and say, right, we're going to keep you, we're going to play you in the best position, get a manager in. But to me, they should just back Sarri. I think they should sell Kante, I think they should sell Hazard. And reinvest and get the players that fit his system.
I think if a manager does poorly or has a bad run of results like Sarri's had recently, I think a manager can almost look confident and put a face on it. I think Sarri looks like he's just losing it at the moment. I don't know, there's something about his demeanour.
And the fact that he's come out and said Hazard's not a leader, he says that players
haven't got a bit Mourinho, hasn't it?
Motivated or the right mentality. I mean, you're digging your own grave for that.
It never works out well, does it?
That's it.
I'm surprised how.
Especially at Chelsea, we know player power at Chelsea is a big thing. For the last couple of managers.
That's why I'm thinking, for once, don't give in to the player power. Fuck them off. Like, these players have down tools before. It seems like as a club, there's something with the players. They do down tools sometimes. So maybe they do just need to start again. Like you said, they've got so many players that they can get a fair bit of money in for. The older ones, they could probably get between 300 and 400 million combined for Kante and Hazard. If Sarri thinks they don't properly fit his system, then get the players in that do. If they can reinvest 300 or 400 million...
What happens if they get rid of Sarri 2 months after they've got rid of Kante?
That's the issue, isn't it? That's the you've got to properly back the manager if you're going to do it.
I think the owners would be less likely to get rid of those two and get rid of Sarri, surely.
Probably. But if Hazard's probably going to piss off anyway, isn't he?
Yeah.
Probably.
Okay, so what if they get rid of their squad, who are the bad apples or something like that, whatever, and then he brings in his team and they finish 6th or 7th again?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the worst thing for Chelsea, because they need. I won't say they need the money. Obviously, they've got a rich owner, but
there's something poisonous at Chelsea, though. I mean, obviously, we don't see the dressing room, we don't see the training ground, but it just seems to me like they have
new sponsorship. I'm alright though. Rennie,
you'd love that, wouldn't you? It does seem to me though that there's something wrong at Chelsea. Like you said before, it almost seems the French national team. With every tournament they had, they always seem
either
to go
amazing or it just
or it goes completely to shit.
Yeah,
it feels like that with Chelsea, where I think any manager that they get in at the moment, it's doomed for failure.
I think for Sarri to be saying the things he's saying, he must really think there's something seriously wrong, because he's not stupid. He's an intelligent man. He must know that if I say this, I'm putting myself in the firing line. This is either going to go this could go completely tits up, or he's basically just rolling the dice, isn't he? It's a massive gamble.
Yeah, he's basically saying, right, you believe in me, I believe in them.
Yeah, these like.
And then I suppose if he gets sacked or he loses his job, it's go, well, it's not my fault. You know, you can basically say that, really, can't you?
I do think he must really believe that there's something seriously wrong there, and they need a new set of players in. So maybe let him do it. Let him
look at Conte though. First season they won the title, weren't they? They played some really good football. Second season was just a shadow.
Yeah,
and there's got to be something.
Same with Mourinho.
A good manager. I mean, Conte's a good manager. To win it one season and have such an abysmal season to follow, it can't just be poor management. There's got to be something else going on within the club that is poisonous. You don't just have a bad season like that. No. And I think with Sarri, like you said, James, if you give them time, then I do think they'll improve, and I do think they'll be contenders for definitely the top 4. But it feels like they're not going to give him time, and I think I'd be surprised if we made it to the end of the season.
The way it's going now, but also how bad is it? Like they are still contenders for the top 4. It's not that bad. I think when it's looked bad, it's looked awful. Like when you get absolutely smacked up like they did yesterday.
Man City can put 6 past anybody.
Yeah. That's it. They can destroy you like that. I think it's just worrying how flimsy they look at times, isn't it? They beat Man City. Mm-hmm. They looked really good then. They have had some games where you thought actually you can see the work in progress. They'd actually started the season pretty well, and you thought actually this looks the most attractive Chelsea team you've seen for a while. It just seems that, like you alluded to, when things go wrong, they just seem to go very wrong at Chelsea.
Yeah, and quite quickly as well.
So if they were going to get rid of players then, like, you've obviously said Kante and Hazard, right?
Which seems hard because they are the 2 best players. But
there's a lot more that need to go than that.
Yeah.
You probably have to
they're
replace,
the ones you're going to get the big...
You probably have to replace 7.
What hasn't helped Chelsea is...
Yeah, so maybe let Sarri have the project. Say, right, rebuild then.
What
you don't like these players, and we have got some old players anyway, and we've got a couple of players we can get massive money for. Let's just start again.
But they haven't had a top striker for a while, though, have they, Chelsea? I mean, if they had someone like Kane, I think they'd be doing a lot better.
Oh God, it makes a massive difference. They've actually looked a bit better, I think, their performances since Higuain's come in.
Yeah.
And he is past it, I think. He looks a bit
He's come late into his career, hasn't he?
Yeah. So it's obviously like a short term, but that's what they do need. They do need a real quality striker with more mobility as well.
I think that's one of the main things, because they've shored up at least for the keeper. They've got a young, seems quite good keeper. He seems like he's pretty good.
Yeah.
Defensively, a little bit fragile, like you say. That does seem like they could do with replacing some players and bringing some players in.
They need another centre back. I think. Like I don't mind David Luiz. He has got mistakes in him, but I think he's generally been a pretty good player. But he's 31, 32 now.
He always seems better at 3 of a back than me.
That suits him better. They need a new left back. I think Alonso's wank.
Yeah, Aspilicueta.
He'll still be fine for a bit, but I think he's like 29, 30 now, is he?
Yeah.
So he'll need maybe looking at, but I think you'd keep him around anyway because he's so good.
Obviously,
he can play anywhere.
Obviously, you said you want to get rid of Kante.
Well, I just think if he's not perfect in that Sarri system, and you're going to back the manager, you may as well sell a player that you can get massive money for, rather than try and put like a
Kovacic?
Square peg. Well, he's only on loan anyway, isn't he?
Ross Barkley.
I'd probably keep him around the squad, but I don't think Ross Barkley should be starting in a team that's...
Then you've got William, Pedro.
That's it. It's a massive job. It's a huge rebuilding.
It's 7 players you need to get rid of.
That's why I think, why would you back the players now and not the manager? Because the players need changing anyway.
Yeah.
So why not take this time to think, right, let's have a clear out, start again.
They have got Pulisic coming in.
Yeah.
Hudson-Odoi, but whether he's going to be there much longer, I don't know.
He should be getting more game time.
The Pulisic situation's weird. The fact that Sarri came out and said he knew nothing about the signing, I mean, that tells you a little bit about Chelsea's system, doesn't it? That they'll bring in these young players on obviously high wages and big bills, and yet they've not really spoken to the manager about how it's going to fit into his formation or system. They've not even discussed whether he wants him. It tells you that Chelsea look at themselves as more of a club within themselves, as a club with a manager.
Yes.
That's what it feels like to me with Chelsea. And I don't think there's, that probably, I mean, Tottenham don't fucking sign anyone anyway, but if they did, it feels like it would start and end with Pochettino, and he would say, this player is the player I want and this is how he's going to fit in.
To some extent. I think a lot of clubs do have a structure where somebody else will do the buy-in, but there's usually a pretty solid line of communication where, or you've got an ethos as a club. So the manager will actually leave the signings up to somebody else, but they're trusted. That this is the sort
of
player we're after.
We're going in the same direction. You know what I want. You know what you're getting.
You know the sort of profile of play. I imagine as well. Usually, even in the extreme circumstances, the manager would be discussing these things.
Yeah.
They would have to run the signings by the manager, and that rather than.
Well, I mean, Chelsea. If you look at the players they've sold, if they hadn't have sold them, their team would be amazing. Like De Bruyne, Lukaku, Salah for starters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, all these kind of players they had on the books probably 2-3 years ago. Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, I suppose it's one of those things, though, isn't it? Where if it had stayed with Chelsea, would they be as good? Going away and coming back. Perhaps give them more experience.
I think they've had too much short-term thinking. I think that's been a bit of their problem as well, especially when they had Mourinho. He's never been that interested in young players, has he? It's just been about the here and now.
Yeah, we said that in the Mourinho video, didn't we? That, he'll go out and he'll spend 80-70 million on players who'll know do a job for him, fuck everybody else. He wants to win.
Yeah, that's it. He's not interested in, we'll give this player a year or two. Whereas I think that has damaged Chelsea. Like you said, the team they could have had, and they've sold these players for not even that much some of the time. They're actually losing out on world-class talent and not getting that much in return. Maybe they have to look at their young players and how they send. They have so many players constantly out on loan, which is getting them, experience, and it's developing as a player.
But it's something like never to play for the first.
Yeah, but it's also making them revenue.
Yeah,
like if we've obviously got Mason Mount and who else have we got? Tomori.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They go out on loan for a couple of seasons. Have a good couple of seasons. They're probably never going to make it into a Chelsea team. But they are good players.
It's like a shop window for them, though, isn't it? They do well in a club.
You can sell them
money
on them. 20 million each.
Well, that's the thing. They use their youth team as like a revenue source. The same as Real Madrid. They do it in the same way. Whereas Barca actually give their young players. They see it as a pathway through. Whereas Madrid,
they both
Chelsea,
have B
teams like that just use it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think the Pulisic thing. I think you have to look at more. Is it just Chelsea's way of getting into the American market? Because he's getting more popular in America by the day.
It certainly helps.
So do you look at it in that way and go, have to sign them just to make it a bit more kind of popular? I know it's caused massive stir in America, hasn't it?
Oh, is it?
But he's the most expensive American player by country mile now, isn't he? It's like 50-something million. Yeah, and he's seen as this like the Beckham of basically America and all this.
Well, Freddie Adu was.
Well, true, yeah. But I think that sort of signing just gives you more of a following for the club, and it makes you more revenue over in America. You're going to sell more shirts in America. You're going to. So I suppose let's not forget Pulisic was replaced by Sancho, wasn't he? At Dortmund. He kind of took over and you'd think Sancho. He looks the real deal. I think he'll end up at probably a top 4 club pretty soon. You'd probably go for him over Pulisic, but I don't know. He's probably not going to sell as many shirts, is he?
No, and they might just cost them more. I think the very top young talent now are probably not going to choose Chelsea. I don't think they're going to have the same pull as City, Liverpool, and even United now. I think that's why Chelsea are finding themselves having to go for the next rung down rather than the top talent.
That's why Sarri getting rid of Sarri damage limitation. That's the thing. That's the only thing I'm thinking at the moment. He seems like he's losing it a little bit. Do you cut your ties and just go, right, we need to find somebody else before it gets too desperate, and then you lose all your credibility?
Yeah.
That's the trouble, isn't it? And then who's going to want, eventually, it's always been an attractive prospect going to Chelsea because you get massive money and they're going to spend shitloads, but they sack the managers really quick. But managers have always thought, well, it's a risk worth taking because I might go in and win the league. Whereas now, you're going to go to a club that regularly sacks their managers but actually hasn't got as much money to spend, and they're actually losing players as fast as they're getting players in. Eventually it's going to become a less attractive prospect, isn't it? They're going to be able to attract less managers of the standing of Sarri, because they'll be like, well, what's the gain now?
The only gain is personal financial reward, isn't it? Yeah.
Which other clubs can probably offer as much as Chelsea can.
Yeah. So I think, this is something I've touched on before, but Simeone, he's done a brilliant job at Madrid, Atletico Madrid.
Yeah.
Really, really good job. Yeah, okay, he doesn't play particularly attractive football, but let's not forget 2 Champions League finals. They've won the Liga, which is it's not easy.
Crazy.
And they're always in the top 3, top 4. But he's never really spoken about replacing, because people don't see him as an exciting manager.
I think that's the problem, isn't it? Yeah. It's like people want to play like Guardiola and Klopp now.
But it depends if you want results or whether you want attractive football.
That's sort of similar to Man United bringing Mourinho in, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, well, we're sort of going to abandon our principles a bit because this guy's a winner. We just need to win now, and it still didn't work out. I think what Simeone suffers with as well is that because he's just done it at that club, I think people just see him as Atletico manager. Like it's somehow like not transferable, even though there's no reason why it shouldn't be. I think it's just like, well, he's doing an amazing job there. It's a bit boring. He's doing really well, just like leaving.
I don't think he's suited to the Premier League. I think Italy should be his next step. I think if he was going to leave, that'd probably.
It depends if he could bring in. I mean, he's going to lose a large chunk of his defence soon at Atletico, isn't he?
Oh yeah.
Godin's obviously going in at the end of the season, who's just been.
Yeah, he's been amazing.
Yeah, it feels like if he went to a club like Chelsea, it might be hard to implement again his style of football with the players that they've got. So yeah, I'd like to see him in the Premier League because he seems like a really bizarre character. But whether he'll ever end up there,
it's just hard to know what skills managers can transfer over, isn't it? When it's doing really, really well somewhere, if you can just replicate that somewhere else, or if it's just a particular setup of a club that enables them to work in the way that they are.
No, I don't think he's daft enough though to go into a club and having to change everything. I think he'll go into a club that already's half set up for what he wants to do.
Yeah. And I think that's the problem that Sarri's had, is that the club isn't particularly set up for the style he wanted to play, and he's not really had the chance to make many signings yet.
Yeah.
So I think I think he's getting so much shit, and I think it's just a bit harsh in his first season.
Mm-hmm.
Like Pep's first season didn't go great.
No,
it wasn't as bad
Klopp's
as this.
wasn't amazing either.
No, Klopp finished 8th in his first season. It was actually worse. I think there is history of just don't panic, give managers a bit of time.
Yeah,
well,
Chelsea,
it's not the Chelsea way, though, is it?
Well, and it's not the modern football way particularly.
Yeah.
But Chelsea in particular don't really do it, do they?
Yeah. So, all right, to finish up then. So, Sarri, back him, sack him.
I would back him personally, but you don't know exactly what's going on behind the scenes, do you? If it seems like he's cracking up a bit, like they might be panicking. It just depends.
Yeah.
If the players overall just completely disregarded him and no one wants to play for him, then I think that's a big issue. If it's just like they need to get a few players out and they just need to sort out his system, personally, I would back him because I think they've signed him, but they've not let him do his job properly yet. So. Let him fail.
Let him fail. Give him enough rope and see what he does.
I'd agree with that. I think give him some time, but if it was given a choice between Hazard and Sarri, I think Hazard's more important in the long term to try and keep him than keeping Sarri. I do feel like he is going to hang himself at some point. He just feels a bit like a kind of broken man at the moment. I feel a bit sorry for him in interviews. He just, I don't know, he just doesn't look happy. And I think, like I say with Chelsea, they are a sacking club.
Yeah.
So I do think I'd like to see them back him. I don't think they will. I think he'll be gone before the end of the season.
That's it. I'm with you on this. Like I said, I think he deserves. If you're bringing in a manager like that who's played a certain way, you deserve to try and let him play a certain way. Hang himself. If it doesn't work, then he's got his players in and fine. I just think we know Chelsea too well. And I think he won't be given that time. I think players will either get him out. The fans will get him out, or the upper management will just say, we're not winning, we're finishing 6th, we can't afford to do this, we need to be in Champions League, you're gone.
And all the Chelsea fans that want him out, who the fuck do you think they're going to get in? Who are they going to get in that's going to do a job?
Same
situation with Man United or whatever, or Tottenham or something.
It almost seems like Lampard is probably going to be... I mean, they've seen what Solskjaer's done at Manchester United. Feels like Lampard might be the right... They might bring him in and, he'll do a great job. I mean, I know there's a lot of fans calling for him. I've seen message boards and stuff. Is he the man, him and Terry with Cole? Feels right, doesn't it? For them. Yeah. Again, long term, will it work?
Yeah, it's the same kind of thing. Give him 3 months or whatever, a couple of months to the end of the season. Steady the ship, take the pressure off.
This is what clubs keep doing though, isn't it? It's just like the short term thinking all the time, which has got Chelsea in this position in the first place.
It's short term thinking though that it gets you the money in though. If you think I need to win the Premier League or I need to finish in the top 4 this season, that's where the money's at. It means next season we can have a better season. That's what
also long term thinking gives you a better phase of stability, doesn't it? True. If you can ride out the rough times, long term thinking, actually putting a plan in place properly and getting the right young players through to fit your system can actually improve you over a decade. I do think we've got a thing in this country as well of new ideas. We just dismiss them straight away. Anything that seems a bit different to us, like they keep saying even on Match of the Day, it baffles me. It completely baffles me that Kante's playing in midfield and Jorginho's playing defensive midfield. It's like, well, it's not baffling. It's just Sarri's system. That's the way he's played.
I kind of see both points for that though, because we all know Kante's best position is playing
defensive
midfield.
Yeah, but it's not defensive midfield. That's the thing. It's not. It's a different thing. It's playmaker.
Yeah,
Sarri's system is the deepest player in the midfield. It is playmaker, and then the players around him have to have legs and have to have good ball transition and fit. I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of his system, but it's just different, isn't it? We're used to your deepest midfielder has got to be defensive.
It's got to be Makaleli.
It's got to be defensive. Yeah. It's got to be like Kante. Whereas that's not Sarri's system. He wants the players either side to be more like the ball winners and the ball carriers, and that player to be the playmaker. Now we're just like Ian Wright said, it's completely baffling. It's no shit, Ian. Everything's fucking baffling to you. It's just that's his system. Why is it baffling people? We know that's how he likes to play. It might not work.
Yeah,
but it might.
But I kind of get it because Kante's got the energy where he can be up and down the pitch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Whether he's got the technical ability. Probably not.
That's the thing, yeah. Is he got the technical ability that like Alan had in Napoli's midfield and Hamsik on the other side, and that's maybe what they need is the technical ability there with like the perfect mixture for Sarri's system. But I just think we're with the same way we did when Guardiola got rid of Joe Hart and got Claudio Bravo in. We're like, why is it important for a keeper to be able to play with their feet? This is ridiculous. Your keepers have got to be a good keeper. This is that. Now he bought the wrong player in, Bravo. I think he realised that, so he replaced him with Ederson. Yeah. And then we realised after a while, actually Guardiola, maybe these methods are actually pretty fucking good.
Yeah. And now everyone's doing it.
Yeah, now everyone wants to do it. We're not just doing the same thing as we always do in this country with something new. It's like, it's just baffling. I can't get my head around it. There's no way that'll work in England. Like England's got this special quality that nowhere else has. That only certain things work in England. This is England. We don't want any of that foreign muck here.
So let me throw a curveball then. So we're talking about Pochettino going to Man United. Why are we not talking about Pochettino going to Chelsea?
Because is it a step up now? I think that's.
But Man United's not a step up, though, is it?
Well, it is because of the standing of the club, and they're always just going to have money. The ceiling at Man United is just so much higher, isn't it, than at Tottenham? Like we've already said that they're doing as well as they could possibly do, and they might be losing arguably their best player in Eriksen. And then you've just got to how do you make that next step if you've then got to replace arguably your best player, and you can only pay your players $100,000 a week or whatever. Their wages are just nothing like the other teams. I think Chelsea were more attractive before because they had so much money, and I don't think they've got as much money now.
They've just been caught up now, haven't they?
Yeah, that's it.
Other clubs, I don't think they've got any less money. I think other clubs have just got more money. If you know what I mean.
I think that's it. And Abramovich, like you say, he just seems to have fucked off a bit. He seems to be slightly less interested. So I think with Man United, even if you're talking about squads or whatever, whether it's like a sideways or so, I think just them as a club are just going to be attractive, and they've just got so much financial clout, haven't they? That I think most managers are going to want to go there. I would understand it anyway if Pochettino went there.
Yeah,
I wouldn't really like it. I'd rather he stayed at Tottenham.
I think it's more likely to go to Real Madrid, but that's just
I think he might go to Madrid.
I just can't see their current situation lasting that long.
No,
if it was like a paper over cracks, I think if they want a long-term manager to come in and do a job, Pochettino seems like the man, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And it'd be nice to see him with the amount of spending power that they've got, just what he could do. Because at the moment he's shackled quite a lot and he's doing a brilliant job. It'd be nice to see him shackles off loads of money and just see what he can actually achieve.
Yeah.
And hopefully lose that bottler's tag that he keeps getting.
Yeah. Well, I think that pretty much sums it up, doesn't it?
I reckon so.
Right, thanks for watching.
Cheers.
See you later.
Please your fucking selves what you're doing next few days, alright? Get pissed if you want, go out to nightclubs, anything you fucking like, because you were a fucking disgrace at Plymouth, weren't you? So do everything what you don't fucking want to do. Alright, take your missus out, shag her on fucking car seat, anything you want. That's magnificent, lads, that.